I was an acting major with a directing minor, so I was a writer, a producer, an actor, director in my early years in New York. I spent 10 years in New York City. Right out of University of Miami, I went to New York City and quickly started doing equity theater. I got my SAG card and my AFTRA card and my equity card. And your first professional jobs are always very exciting, and you'll never ever forget them. Your first Broadway show, your first, the first commercials you do, your voiceover work, the first films that you did. I did Zelig with Woody Allen, and there was a lot of success in my young career that came out of New York, and I had a really great run in New York, and I love New York, and the theater scene was very vibrant, and I was involved in it full time. Had a theater company, started a small theater company called the Idea Theater. Of course, the idea was for people to give us money so we could do theater, because we were dead broke young actors out of college. But did film work, signed with an agent, and again, it was Ray Liotta who introduced me to my first agent in New York City. Friends and colleagues, friends beget friends. In the business, that's vital, because friends beget work, and work begets friends, and work begets work, and friends beget friends. So it's one circle gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but the more you work, the tighter it seems to get. And so I was 10 years in New York City. I lived and worked in New York City for a while, and I did a very famous campaign. I was the spokesman for WPIX TV, Channel 11 in New York. I played a kind of a klutzy cult hero in New York City, a character named Henry Tillman, and it was a little guy looking for a big idea. And I was on TV every day, like 10 times a day for 3 years. So I was kind of like the Maytag man, or Mr. Whipple, for WPIX and the Yankee baseball station. And being a Red Sox fan, that wasn't easy. But I kind of hit a peak in New York, because when you're known as Mr. Whipple or the Maytag man, it's hard to get cast in Hamlet on Broadway. So I decided it was time to head out to Los Angeles. So after 10 years in New York, I had a great run in New York, and I was kind of on an upward slant to my career. I did head out to Los Angeles, and I spent over 20 years in LA doing film and television, producing, writing, directing, and acting. But my first job in LA, bumped into a friend on Malibu Beach one Saturday, and he asked me, "What are you doing in LA?" I said, "I just moved here." He said, "Well, what are you doing next Tuesday?" And I said, "Nothing, I'm an actor. You know, I'm doing nothing, because I just moved here last week." And he said, "You come to this address down on Santa Monica Boulevard. We're starting a new cable network, and I know they'd love you at the network. These guys need to see you. I want you to interview Arnold Schwarzenegger on the Hollywood Walk of Fame." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, he's getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and we need a kind of a VJ host, comic reporter on the street to cover this thing." And I went, and that was my audition for the network, and I interviewed Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I've been in Hollywood just a couple weeks, and I ended up going out there and having a good time and enjoying Hollywood and seeing him get his star on the Hollywood legendary Walk of Fame. And it turned out that this was the very first shoot and the very first production and interview for E! Entertainment Television. So I was on the launch team. I got hired from that. It was a wonderful run. I was there for almost 4 years, and it was my beginning and my introduction to Hollywood from the entertainment news side and from the kind of the entertainment coverage side, where I went to every party and premiere and all of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we shot for E! Entertainment Television. I was producing, writing, directing, and hosting. So it was the perfect job to learn how to produce television.